All right, welcome back to the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Big announcement by the Pirates expected tomorrow. They're expected to announce Travis Williams, the new president of the team. Williams was a former COO of the Penguins. So we're going to start with you, Josh. What do you know about Travis? Do you like him? You think he'll be a good fit with the Pirates?
I like him a lot. It's not often that we compliment the Pirates in their hiring, but I literally could not imagine a person that could have been hired who would be better than Travis Williams. For what it's worth, good human being. He's the kind of guy when you're walking down the hallway at a hockey game, he goes out of his way to come say hi to you, and when he asks how you are, he actually seems to care. He's just one of those types. I think people will like working for him. I think the community, once they get to know him, will really like him. The question is, what's his style going to be? I don't know. He's never been the guy. He's never been in charge. I know he's an extremely intelligent person, respected by everyone, but he comes from the Penguins. Now, he had a winning culture there. It was kind of easy for him, probably. He doesn't have one with the Pirates, so I'm fascinated to see what decisions he will make if Neil Huntington stays or goes, and just how much power Bob Nutting lets him have.
Yeah, Tim, can he help get any wins? I think that's the big question here, right?
Yeah, I think one thing that if he's going to help the Pirates get wins, if Travis Williams specifically is going to help the Pirates get wins, it's going to be because he can somehow separate Bob Nutting from his money. Like, that would be his task, or it's to increase revenue so Bob Nutting feels as if he has more to spend. That's the only way that he specifically would help the Pirates win games.
Or he's a business president who leaves the baseball operations to, I don't know, the baseball people, which I don't know about you guys, but it seems like the Pirates have been more than willing in the last 72 hours to come forward and tell reporters that Frank Coonelly had a bigger hand in some of the moves that they made.
Do you believe it, or is that just convenient scapegoating?
I think it's some scapegoating. Like, I don't think Frank Coonelly's to blame for the fact that their draft and development has been atrocious. Do I think Frank Coonelly probably nudged Neil Huntington in the direction of trading for Chris Archer? Yes, I do. But once Archer got here, again, it's not Frank Coonelly's fault that he went back to pitching like a guy who was a 4th or 5th starter in a good rotation. So I think you need a little separation of church and state here, if you will. And if Tim Williams can get the revenue side, can get people buying back in, can get the promotional wing of the Pirates going, let the baseball people do their job, and frankly, get new baseball people to do that job, Richie.
Tony, you would agree that Neil Huntington's probably 100% safe this year, right?
No, I would not.
You don't think?
I would not agree with that.
Well, we got Williams coming in here as an NHL guy with no Major League Baseball experience. He probably doesn't have the time.
You say 100% safe. You mean the whole season, Richie?
No, I'm saying this year, coming into this season, I don't think he's in jeopardy of losing his job tomorrow.
I would disagree with that. I would disagree with that, and this is why. To go back to what Josh was alluding to with this guy, I think if you look at his background, he's somebody that always, I think, has a real connection and understanding of how the fans and the customer feel. And right now, he's got a toxic general manager. He's got somebody right underneath him that nobody has faith in at all. So I think he might get rid of him for that reason.
And make no mistake, the general manager is everything for the Pirates. Bob Nutting's not going to spend money. We know this by now. They basically need a genius to be their general manager, and I'm sure there's a guy out there somewhere. They have to find them, and I think it's pretty clear that Huntington is not that person.
If I'm Travis Williams, I don't do it until I know the market well enough to find that guy.
I'm glad you brought up Bob Nutting. He's expected to talk tomorrow. I think Jason Mackey reported that. Can he say anything to win back the fans?
Yeah,
I mean, what can he say to get some excitement
I'm going to spend tens of millions of more dollars. That's
the only thing?
That's about it. I'm going to spend a hell of a lot more money.
Well, he's not going to say that, but I think if Nutting is asked directly if Huntington's going to be back and dances around that question, I think we'll have a better understanding to what Richie asked before. Is this general manager who's committed some of the worst trades in recent baseball history going to be around to help this team recover next year?
He can say the team's for sale. I think that would be popular, but I'm not anticipating that.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen either. All right, now let's go around the horn for this week's Smooth Move. Brought to you by Pittsburgh's largest supplier of smoothest granite, marble, quartz, countertops, Armina Stone. Pony, what do you got?
I mean, I'm always here to take a pot shot at the Browns. Did Freddie Kitchens go to the Mike Tomlin School of Challenging plays? I mean, it was just atrocious today. I mean, they have fired guys for less. I mean, they hired Baker Mayfield's boyfriend pretty much. It's just, I don't know. They're shedding Freude here on my end, guys. I'm really enjoying what I'm watching here.
Josh?
Mike Sullivan earlier this week compared morning skates to his mother's cooking of ham. it was a very interesting comment for him to make, and I kind of liked it for some reason. And morning skates, he's right. They're one of the stupidest things in sports. It's amazing how often these guys are on the ice all the time anyway. The Penguins basically don't have them anymore. Most NHL teams don't. It's a good thing.
Yeah, my mom also cut the ends off of ham, and you can put a little mustard on that.
Ham, very overrated.
All right.
Agreed.
I'm going with Jacoby Brissett for that unbelievable play that he had back in his own end zone, escaping Von Miller and Derek Wolfe and throwing a great pass to T.Y. Hilton. Underrated quarterback, and I think will give the Steelers problems next week.
I don't like Ham. Armina
Him or
Stone.
Ham? What do you have against Jacoby Brissett?
I don't. Armina Stone, Pittsburgh's large supplier of the smoothest granite marble quartz countertops you can find anywhere. We're talking Pitt and Penguins coming up next. Stay right there.